Hey, this is Daniel from the Blue Corner, and today I'm going to talk to you about my math trade haul. Are you familiar with the math trade? Well, let me explain it really quickly. It's this idea that, tons of people can join into a trade, and instead of trading one-on-one, this algorithm will make it to where if someone wants the game I want, and I want this game way over here, well, it might trade through 5 people so that the person who wanted my game can get my game, but that person will give this other person a game, and then I take that person's game. So it's like a 4-way trade. There's a website out there, a very dated website, but it works, and it runs the algorithm, and it creates the most trades possible, and it gives you what you requested. But because of that, you also want to make sure you are requesting exactly what you want. Don't go overboard, because you will always get probably the game that you wanted the least. That's been my experience. The first couple times I did math trades kind of screwed up in that regard, but I've practiced over time. I've honed that skill, and now I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to ask you, does it look like I know what I'm doing? So here are my trades that I received. Let me know. And this weird version of play shelf trade, because these are the games I traded. And then I'm going to hold up the ones that I'm getting, that I'm shelving, and we'll see which ones I'm going to play, because not all of them I'm going to play, which I'll explain that as they come up. So, first one is going to be Mice and Mystics. I got rid of Mice and Mystics because I got to play with my kids, and they just have no interest in dungeon diving games, and I have so many already. They actually like Gloomhaven, and there's Adventure Tactics is the one I really want to play with them. So Stuffed Fables they've also really enjoyed. So because of this, I felt like, I have to slim this down a little bit. So my Mice and Mystics had to go. But the game I got in return was Olympos. Now, Olympos is really cool because this is one of the first games I got when I was in the hobby, and I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't get it played very often. So this was one of the first games I may have cut from my collection just because nobody else wanted to play it. But years have passed, new play groups have happened. Old man Chris, actually likes old games, and this is a pretty old game, so maybe I'll get it to the table after all. But this was one of the first games I played that had this mechanic where if you take a turn that's requires 3 actions, and your opponent takes a turn that requires 4 actions, you get to keep going until the amount of actions you take surpass their actions. So if Chris plays a card that takes 4 actions and I play a card that takes 3 actions, I get to take another turn. There's kind of area control. I think this is a predecessor to the Small World, how Small World worked. There's a lot of similarities to that as far as the area control is concerned. Nothing else but just the area control and how the victory points are come off. But this one also has the expansion. Never had the expansion, so happy for that. So Mice vs. Mystics versus Olympus. How'd I do with the first one? All right. Now we're going to take a dive to the second one. Our second one is the classic Alumbra. All right. Well, Alhambra, it's funny. This is now my second copy of Alhambra I have in this house right now. So why did I trade it for Sorcerer City of all games? Well, recently I came into someone's collection. They were moving out of the country, so they were selling all of their collection, and I bought a large amount of it for a very great value. So Sorcerer City I already had, but I got his deluxe edition, so I traded my regular edition. And in Alhambra, this is one of the games I'm going to give away at our FBC GameCon. So any of these games that I bought from this person, if they are in shrink, we're going to give away as a gift. If you walk in, this is a chance that you could win Alhambra. So Sorcerer City for Alhambra, new in shrink, mind you. What do you think about this trade? Alhambra, I guess I didn't talk about either of them, but Sorcerer City is a tile laying game. I haven't played it yet. It's been a shelf game for about 2 years now. I do want to get it played, but well, I have too many games, so you never know what's going to happen. Now, Alhambra is kind of a classic game. It is a Old Man Chris game for sure. This is one of some people's intro games, and it kind of feels like the trading of property, like from Monopoly. A lot of people will say, if you like Monopoly, then try Alhambra as the next step. Again, not the bad things about Monopoly, but you are trading property. It also has an interesting mechanic where you have to pay exact money. So if you want to buy a tile that's $6, but you only have two $5 bills, you have to pay $10. You don't get change. it works. It's a weird thematically. It's like, sorry, I know you want to buy this house for, $10,000, but you only have five. So, or you only have 8,000, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I butchered that analogy. Sorry. So there you go. Now the third game I have is, this is a shocker to people who really know me, and that is I traded It's a Wonderful World, which is a game I love. It's a play. It's a shelf. I wanted it on my shelf, but John has it. So I kind of went against my rule of buying a game that one of my friends in my play groups had, but I did it anyways because I really liked the game, and shocker, never got played because John has a copy. So got rid of It's a Wonderful World for just about anything. And the other shocking thing is what I got for it was Tiny Epic Quest. I don't like small games. If it comes in a small package, I usually ignore it and I don't want any part of it. But out of these Tiny Epic games by Scott Alms, this is the first one that I was actually intrigued by. It has, it's kind of essentially Zelda, the board game, and my son really likes Zelda. So I thought, hey, let's give this one a shot. You never know. This could be a hit after all, and I'll have to just take back all my insults about small games. But it's this tile laying exploration game. You have little item meeples. That's like a trademark from them too. Like you if you find a sword, you can put a sword on the meeple itself. So it's pretty interesting. So yeah, kind of excited for this. Kind of play solo too. And while I'm not a big solo gamer, I do like the option to play it solo, if anything, to learn it. So there you go. It was, what do we got here? It's a Wonderful World for Tiny Epic Quest. The next one is, I think, a great trade. I got Azul stained glass of Sintra. I don't know. I don't know how to talk. But I got this one in a gift exchange, a Christmas gift exchange that we do in FBC Gamers. And I played it in the year that I was trying to play through my collection. And it was good. It was fine. I enjoyed it. But I was like, I haven't played it since then. And I don't see myself playing it again. So I wanted to make a trade. And the game I got was Destinies. And this is a game I already know that I really enjoy. Destinies is an exploration adventure game, storytelling, but it is actually competitive. You don't see that very often. You don't usually see adventure story games that are competitive. So this one was a true, I was really happy to get this one again. And I played this with my friend Kent and my wife one day, and my wife actually really liked it and loved the story, so really wanted to pick that up. And the best part is it came with a bonus item. That's the expansion. Let me take this name tag off. It's the expansion too. So I got these two games for Azul stained glass. I think this was the best trade of the math trade, I guess, of mine anyways. I'm sure somebody else had one that was really good too. All right, so the next one is another one that I'm really happy with. Probably the most even and fair trade I have here, and that is I got rid of Gutenberg. Gutenberg was a meh. We did an episode on it where we all reviewed it, and honestly, again, we like to have diversity of thought in this podcast, but Gutenberg, we were all at the same level. It was fine, I guess. So to replace that, then I picked up this side, Flamecraft. That's right, Gutenberg for Flamecraft. Flamecraft is a cute little dragon game, engine building. It's published by Lucky Duck Games. We have a good friend, or at least distributed by Lucky Duck Game, and we have a good friend that lives in the Kansas City area that works for them. So excited to play Flamecraft. I haven't got to play it yet. Really wanted to play it, but we'll see how this is. Maybe it'll show up on the show. I feel like this is a good game that might have some contention between a couple of the fellas on the show, and so who knows. But engine building, cute little dragons, what's not to like? All right, the next one. This one's pretty fair too. Fine Sand from Freedom and Freeze. The reason I got this game is it's like a deck building game, but they call it the Fable series. So as every time you play the game, you introduce new cards to it, and depending on what you did in the last game, you can potentially lock so it's like a campaign, but it's not a campaign because it's very resettable. It's easy to reset as well, but each new time you play, you get more and more cards. Well, I enjoyed the experience I had with it, but not very many people did, including my family. So that one went out, and because I got it for $5, I was like, you know what, this is one I'm going to add to the FBC GameCon door prizes. So the game I got in return was Running with the Bulls, New and Shrink, which I'm excited about this one. I think this is a good game personally. There's a little bit of take that in there, but you are starting with all your racers, which I believe are dice. And they're all on top, and the goal is to get them to the bottom. So every round you're moving dice down to the bottom while people are playing cards to make the bulls pop them off the board or whatever. And then there's different routes you can take that are more dangerous but quicker, and less dangerous but slower. And so there's some choices you have on there. And you just get to keep going until you get to the very end. And then depending on where you land, you get victory points for that. A fun little take that game. So I know our friend Phillips had it, and we haven't played it since I think the first time we played it, but I remember actually enjoying this one. So I think this will be a really great door gift prize to give away. But that was, what was it? Fine Sand for Running with the Bulls. My camera's mirrored, so it's hard for me to remember which side's which. All right, the next one is shocker, right? I traded Marvel United X-Men. What? Why would I trade one of my favorite games? And it's X-Men. It's because I already have a copy. So Marvel United is a cooperative game, very puzzly. You have a villain that you're taking out, and you have to, on your turn, you're just playing a single card. You have 2 icons that you get to work with, and then you also get to take the person who was previously in front of you, and you get to use their icons. So you could have anywhere between 0 or 4 icons to work with, and you're deciding how you're going to distribute these amongst the board to solve the issue that the villain is approaching. So very puzzly. If you like puzzle games, you might like Marvel United. I know I really enjoy it. But the game that I received for Marvel United is Red Rising. That's right. This one was a little bit of an accident. So Marvel United was not meant to be traded for a game that was going to show up in the FBC GameCon, but in this case it did, because Red Rising, while it's a fine game, it's kind of like what is it called? Oh my goodness, Fantasy Realms. There we go. Fantasy Realms, but a more robust version of it. I don't find that it was necessary to play the more robust version of Fantasy Realms that plays in like 15 minutes. So why draw it out to 45 minutes when you're getting the exact same effect? And also, Marvel Remix is a retheme of Fantasy Realms, which is also, again, a derivative of this game. So, I don't really have a need for Red Rising. I have Marvel Remix. I enjoy that one. So this one will likely end up in the FBC GameCon door prize. So let's move on to the next one, and that is Wonder Book. And this is probably one that I made a mistake on as well. I got Wonder Book very, very cheap, and this one is going to end up in the FBC GameCon door prizes as well, and that is Wonder Book for Space Dealers. All right, so Wonder Book has a giant pop-up tree in the middle of it. Really cool looking. I thought my kids would love it, so I showed it to them, and they were like, whatever, and they just ran away, so whatever. Not even going to try that one again. We talked about the same reason I got rid of Mice vs. Mystics. There's a lot of games out there like this. They had no interest in that one, so we're going to move on. I got it for really cheap, though, so that won't bother me that I'm going to put Space Dealer into the FBC GameCon door prizes. But Space Dealer is interesting. It's kind of the first pendulum. It's if you know what pendulum is, it's kind of one of the more recent Stonemaier games that requires a timer. Well, Space Dealer did it first. You're taking actions, and you can't take an action again until the timer is flipped. So you're just trading, doing pickup and delivery. You're trading resources, and you're doing it via timer. So I don't know. It'll be a fun game. I'm sure someone will like it. But yeah, this one's going into the FBC GameCon door prizes. There you go. The next one, I'm not going to show it to you guys, but I traded Skate Summer, which is a pressure luck game where you're pulling, things out of a bag. I think you're pulling things out of a bag. I never actually played it. I trade for Skate Summer from a friend who won in Sentinels of the Multiverse, the new edition. I had bought the new edition, was super excited about it, but I was like, you know what? I don't need to re-buy this whole game that I already own. So I got rid of it, traded it for Skate Summers because I was like, whatever, I'll take anything. It's a new game. I'll take it. Probably the same value. And then I found out it has a Quacks of Quedlinburg like mechanic to it where you're drawing or you're at least randomizing your push your luck abilities. Those games are not for me. I almost immediately regretted making the decision. So I was like, has to go in the math trade. And what I got instead was a giant lot of Dice Masters. So I'm a big Dice Master fan. I don't get to play it enough, but I still have my whole collection from several mini Marvel sets. But this one I got had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It had some of the DC Last Light. It had several of the Marvel sets, and it also came with extra storage solution. With, if you know Dice Masters, the storage is like, oh boy. But they made these like Zen bins, I think is what they're called, and they're like just these trays that hold the cards and the dice. And I have so many of those now. So I got an entire box of games of Dice Masters for Skate Summer. So I think it was truly worth it. You guys may not think so, because I know Dice Masters is kind of a dead game, or one that people aren't too excited about. But I really like it. So I'm super happy about that one. But let me know what you think. All right, the next one, Chris might kill me for this, but that is I traded away Dominant Species, which is an area control Euro game, very thinky, but it plays in 3 to 6 hours, and I just didn't want to deal with that. Also, we like heavy games in my play group, but we have so many, including a lot of 18xx games. So, and I love area control games, which this has that, but I have so many area control games that I need to get played. I need to play Heroes of Land, Air and Sea. I need to play Cyclades. I need to play Star Trek Ascendancies. There's so many games of area control that I want to play still that I just haven't got to the table. So I just felt like Dominant Species was just going to constantly stay at the bottom of the list. So had to get rid of Dominant Species, but instead I got Rising 5. And while I'm excited about Rising 5 is because this was the first game on Kickstarter that I wanted to back, and decided, you know what? I don't need it. I have too many games. Why should I back this? Well, I regret that. It is one of the most beautiful covers and one of the beautiful illustrations from Vincent Dutrait. And Z Garcia of the Dice Tower, he raves about this game. It's still on his top, I think, 20 games of all time. And while I don't normally agree with Z Garcia, I do like puzzly games. And this is essentially a puzzle deduction game. There's a lot of stuff going on in this game that seems like it would fit well with me. You're just trying to break a code, like kind of Mastermind like, if you remember that old game where you lay out stuff and it says, well, some of these are right, but those are wrong. So then you have to switch out the wrong ones and try to find the right ones. So Rising 5 for Dominant Species. Well, I'm happy with that trade. I bet you a lot of you out there will probably say that was a bad trade, but I'm happy with it. All right, my next one is another one that I might have made a small mistake on as well, and that is oh no, this one's fine. It was Worlds Without End, and what I got for it was Psychic Pizza Delivery Goes to the Ghost Town. All right, so the reason I got rid of World Without End was because this was one of those games that I got from that collection that was going to end up at FBC GameCon one way or the other. So again, I try to trade for anything in a shrink, and this is one of the in shrink games, so this will be in the FBC GameCon door prize. World Without End, honestly, I know nothing about that game, absolutely nothing, so I can't even explain that one to you. But Psychic Pizza Delivers Go to Ghost Town. It's a hidden movement game, and I talked to Joe Wiggins about this game. I asked him, do you have any regrets about any games that All Play has? And he said no. He said the biggest thing though is he would re-themed and change the name of this, because while this name is funny and I think it's eye-catching, it made me want it. I can also see why people like it. Looks a little childish. You got little kid zombies, little kid pizza delivers, but it's not a kid's game at all. It's a family game. It is for everybody, like all play games are. But this one has, you have like a board, almost like Battleship-esque, like you're seated in different places, and then people are moving around, and you're like, oh, you ran into a ghost. No. So this one will end up on the door prizes of FBC GameCon. So there you go. All right, the next one that we have is this one I'm happy with too, and it's Carpe Diem. I got rid of, one of the reasons I got rid of it wasn't getting played. It's a Stefan Feld game. It has honestly, I can't explain this one very much, but I'm glad I got rid of this one because Andy actually just ended up buying it for $17. So now I know how much it's worth, right? So I feel like my pickup then I got was worth it, and that is Nidavellir. Nidavellir is a pretty good game. I enjoyed my plays of it, but essentially you are set collecting different colors of dwarfs, and are doing this via these auction chips, and throughout the game you will upgrade the auction chip. So you might start the game off with a 2, 3, and a 4, and at the end your auction chips will end up being like a 30 and a 25 and a 15. And why that's important is those are victory points, but they also obviously help you keep getting better and better cards. So this is a kind of like a raw-esque auction where you kind of know the numbers that are out there. It's not just totally free-forming, so you can hedge your bet on which one you're going to get. And even though you're bidding on which row of cards you want, you're essentially 4 rows of cards, and you're saying I want first pick in this row, so I'm going to bid the highest there. But if you don't bid the highest, you get second pick, and you still get something anyways. So it's an auction game where the penalty is still not too bad, because you're still getting a card, you're still getting something. It may not be the card you wanted, but it does still work on your engine. So that was that was Carpe Diem for Nidavellir. All right, this next one ended up trading with John, of all people, but this is another game that's going to end up in the FBC GameCon door prizes, and this is going to be the best door prize we have, and that is a War of Whispers. That's right. Oop, upside down. War of Whispers, new in Shrink. It's an area control game where the catch is you don't control any of the nations. Instead, you are the political advisors on the outside of the world trying to influence the armies to where you want them to go, because you have an invested interest on who is going to control the most area. So you don't really care. Even if your number 1 people tend to not have the most area, you can still win this game because you still care about the second and the third. And also your person who that you wanted first may come in third, but that person needed to come in last for somebody else, or else they would lose a bunch of points. So this game is really clever. I really haven't seen anything quite like it. So if I want to move the blue players on the board, then John can immediately move the blue players back. Like, it's constantly pivoting back and forth. It's not, I say he can move it back, but it's not that easy. Like, you're not just doing it just because. You're kind of picking up on what people think are important. So if John realizes blue's important and his people are where they need to, he's like, yeah, I'm sending blue back. But if his people aren't where they need to, he's like, okay, well, I need to focus on mine. I'll deal with Daniel later. Maybe somebody else will realize what Daniel's doing. Or maybe what I did was a bluff all along, and I don't need blue to do anything. I was just setting up for something else later. So this game is really clever, really like it. Chris owns it, so this is why I am actually going to be giving this away at FBC GameCon. But the game I gave away for it was Haspla Connect. I know I said that wrong, but I'm giving this one, I traded this one away because I already own it. So this was 2 games in my collection yeah, why not? But this is a heavy Euro game, economic game, just seems right up my alley, and excited to get that one played. All right, and my second to last one is I traded First Rat because Ryan Evans has it, so I don't need it in my collection. First Rat is essentially, the core of it is the Candyland mechanic, right? You're just going to each color. But what's really cool about this is you have multiple rats, and you only have so many movement that you can distribute between the rats, and the rats have to all stand on the same color. And it's a race to get to your rocket ship so you can blast off to the moon that's made of cheese, because rats collect garbage and pieces of trash so they can build their rockets so they can get the big ball of cheese in the sky. I'm pretty sure they all die at the end, but we don't talk about that. We just let it be, and we hope that they find their cheese heaven somewhere, because we're pretty sure they didn't make it to the moon. But this game is really simple, and it's a lot more fun than it has any right to be. Our friend Evan Ryans, who loves heavy games, actually really adores this game, and he likes to get out to the table a lot. So no reason for me to have it in my collection. So instead, I got Atlas Rising, which is a really fun co-op game, and this is the 2nd edition of it. Again, Vincent Dutray at art, which is always wonderful. But this is a worker placement cooperative game where the island of Atlantis is actually sinking, and every round, one of the exteriors of the island is going to be removed from the game. So you're actually breaking this board apart as it sinks into the ground. And this is kind of like a push your luck worker placement, because if you're at the tip of an island, you actually take a really incredible action. So the further down the island you are, the better your action is. But if it floods, you don't get the action at all. So you're kind of pressing your luck, trying to get, and what you're doing is trying to create a engine that will rise Atlantis from the sea. So there you go. So that one was First Rat for Atlas Rising. And then my last one was a side trade, and that was Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter. Me and Randy played it, and we were both kind of meh on it. The reason I even got this from the last math trade was because of the Dice Tower. They said, "Oh, this game's so good; it has better than any right to be. You should give it a try." And I will agree with them that it is a lot better than it looks like it would be. But in the end, I was just very mediocre on it. You're essentially there's 3 levels that you're going down into your bunker, and you are creating these the rooms as you go into them. And then as you go into the rooms, the monsters will spawn throughout your cave network, and these locations let you do special abilities. They're worker placements, essentially. But if there's a monster in there, you have to fight the monster before you can do the ability. And the monsters will, of course, move through the house, trying to track you down, trying to kill you. So you have to deal with them eventually. So that was fun, but I didn't need it. Small game, but I did a side trade, and that is World of Yoho. This one, the only thing I really know about it is that there is pirate combat using your phone. That's right. You download an app, you put your phone on the board, and your phone becomes a piece on this game. And you can, as it kind of shows here, you can see that one person has a ship here, and he's blasting it off into the water here at the other person. So I love the integration of this cell phone into this game. So while I normally am like, I don't need apps in my game, the phone is on the table. So the phone is just a player piece. It's not like one of these things where you're reading from the screen the whole time. So I'm excited about this one. Very unique, at least, right? And nothing else out there like that, and I want to experience that. So there we go. Those were the games I got from the math trade. What do you think? How did I do? Did I make any boneheaded choices? Was World Without End truly worth keeping? Am I stupid for getting rid of that one? I will say the guy who got that one has the whole Column of Fire set and the Pillars of the Earth set. So I'm glad I was able to help fulfill his collection. But I don't know, maybe it was worth a lot of money, but it was also being sold for $5, and that's all I got it for. So who knows? I'm not out any money, but but let me know what you think of any of these games that I got rid of, and which ones I got, which ones should be the first ones I play. And again, a lot of these will show up in the FBC GameCon door prizes, so that's going to be April 12th and 13th, so make sure you show up. The April 13th is when we'll actually have the door prizes, so if you want to have access to some of these games and have a chance to win some of them even, then show up at FBC GameCon on April 12th and 13th at Gardner, Kansas, and you might have a chance to win. Well, thank you guys for sitting here and listening to me talk, just like I would with my friends around the table, and that's why we say we'll see you around the board.